Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we have something pretty cool. We have basically a kind of big unboxing, except I had to kind of unbox this already just to double check things were there and to kind of organize things. First of all, we have a nice parcel from Remshi here, and that is actually these stainless steel washers, which are, super nice. I'm really excited to put these into some of my balisongs. Most noticeably the de-icing army, which, yes, follow-up video on this guy coming soon. As you can see, I've got a pretty decent tune on there. It could be a little better, but I didn't want to do anything too rash before I put in stainless. We also have, this guy, although this isn't going onto stainless washers, so don't worry about that. And of course, we have this guy here, which is also on stainless. And basically just my important balisongs. And we also have, this guy, which, believe it or not, with a little bit of cleaning, look at that, no tap, some play. Definitely still like worn out a little bit, but overall kind of crazy. And we have this guy. Now, a lot of you may not know this, but lately I've had not a big issue, but a bit of an annoyance issue with my current oils. One, the Bali Plus oil, it's not nice enough for me to want to use it in my more expensive Balis. But it really works well. Like, this is actually a really solid oil. Please excuse my dog. And then we also have Carbon Honey Thick. Now, Carbon Honey Thick is absolutely fantastic, except it's a little bit too thick for some of my nicest balisongs with really tight tolerances, like the Serif, for example. It makes the Serif sound amazing, but it's a little bit too thick, so it's like I end up having to use as little as possible. And then in something like this, it actually still works quite well. But yeah, basically the Carbon Honey, it's like it's really good. It works for most balisongs, but especially because I prefer a little bit lighter, more blade bias balisongs, it's a bit more difficult to kind of work with. So that's why we have this absolutely fantastic package here. This is actually a gift for me from a subscriber. Check him out. His links are in the description below. I'll pin his Instagram. And I could not be happier. I bought the washers myself, so don't think that the washers are a gift, although they are quite well priced on Ramshi. But we have not only this kind of let's see, what are these? 18-piece precision tip applicators, funnel multicolor lids made in China's, which are, I can basically store every single liquid I will ever need in my life that isn't water, obviously. In one of these things, I've even considered putting carbon honey in one of these. Obviously, this is a bit bigger. This is, I'm not sure how many mils these are. What did they say, 18 mil? No, 18 pieces. This is 15 mil, I believe. So this probably looks like 20 or so, maybe 25. So, this is also like, oh, wow, I'm nearly halfway done on my carbon honey. That's crazy. Didn't expect that. But, carbon honey is actually quite worth it, even with the absolutely extortionate shipping. Fantastic. But we have this box of applicators, and then we have the piece de resistance, Superlube. Now, I've been recommended Superlube so many times, and it did come in this IKEA bag, this IKEA baggie, which, can I just say, Remshi, you couldn't have spared like the 20 cents to just like get a baggie for these washers. They came literally just loose in the big pamphlet there, and like I had to like shake them out and count them one by one to make sure I had it. Anyways, not to bash on Remshi, but thank you very much. Only guy really supplying these at a reasonable price, despite having to use a proxy. But yeah, this stuff I've been recommended so much. It's silicone oil, which is really good. It's completely synthetic, pretty good stuff. As far as I'm concerned, this stuff is absolutely extortionate here, and I think you can only get like you might not even be able to get it properly here, and I think you can get like a slightly different version of this that's like huge, and it's not even the same kind of stuff, right? But yeah, this stuff is really difficult to get over here in the UK without paying exuberant shipping prices, and so that's why I thought I'm not going to say no to this as a gift, and so, yeah, that's kind of fantastic that we have this. And obviously, I took the liberty of slightly opening this myself and putting it in. I'm actually going to put this down because I don't want it to fall over. Yeah. Also, Superlube company, why do you not provide a cap for this? Like, really? Anyways, we'll do that. I did take the I don't know I can't remember what the phrasing is, but I took it upon myself to put it into a bottle, and you can see this stuff is completely clear. It is a little bit more viscous than water. I would say it's kind of a, well, it's an oil consistency, that is for sure. Does it have a smell? Not really. It might just smell like silicone, grease, and oil. So really, again, not much of a smell. But yeah, this stuff is really cool. I've not used this in a balisong yet. In fact, I've not even used this properly. I literally just installed it and then I came to film this video. However, side note, can we just appreciate how much packing is in here? And like, this was all like on the top. And I mean, this box is absolutely ginormous. Amazon Basics carpet cleaner. We'll get that out of the way. But yeah, fantastic stuff right there. I know Amazon really do take the mick with the size of parcels, but I just find it amusing. And so, yeah, let's go and test out putting this in a balisong. I think the balisong I'm most interested to see how it works on is the Tsunami, because the Tsunami is actually over-oiled right now with carbon honey. And when I say over-oiled, I mean it's literally just oiled the same amount like as any of my other balisongs are, if not actually slightly less. And I find that I get the bounciest feedback from having this only very slightly oiled. Effectively how DJ Pyro likes to have his balis dry. Now, as a control, these are all effectively on carbon honey, I think, except for... No, I think even this is on carbon honey, right? So, none of these have been freshly oiled, right? They've all been flipped since oiling. Ah, and I forgot to even mention, there is also one more oil that I do sometimes use, and it is 3-in-1 oil, right? Just mineral oil. That stuff is really good. For £3, you can get 100 mils. It's fantastic stuff, that is. It does kind of get everywhere a little bit, but it's pretty solid stuff. But yeah, anyways, that's how the balis are sounding. So I guess let's start off with this guy here. I'm quite curious to see how this one will flip. Let me know, guys. Do you actually oil your balis open or closed? Now, what I've heard is that this stuff kind of cleans out your balis quite well, which is one of the big things that I'm quite excited to kind of get an idea of, because that's one thing, carbon honey does really gunk up pivots. So let's check this guy out. Okay, so first off, I've added too much. That's the first thing. That's why I did want to. That's why I wanted to do this guy first, because if I get it wrong, it's not the end of the world. I can notice the sound profile is higher in pitch, which is typically the case for lower viscosity oils. Also, can I just say, I've just seen out of the corner of my eye. Can you imagine how awesome a bali like this would look? They're like orca handles with like the serif blade. I mean, the proportions are completely out of whack, but like it would look awesome. But yeah, I guess slightly high pitch, which is fine. So I guess next we'll put it on this guy just to keep it lube somewhat. These are all on phosphor bronze washers that I've done so far. Except for actually, that's technically on phosphor and steel, but it is what it is. Yeah, let's quickly just seal that back up, and also, do you put your oil in like this, or do you do the maracas, or do you do that? I do a little bit of everything. Ooh. Okay, immediately I can feel, it is slightly lower in resistance. The graphene additives of this are really, really nice, but this is silicon, and silicon does work quite well. And wow, okay. This may be slight placebo, but I can actually feel somewhat of a noticeable difference into how the bali swings. It's kind of bizarre to explain. Would I say it's bouncier? No, not necessarily, at least not in this example. This also doesn't have a great tune. Also, this is quite good for bounce if your bali is momentum enough to handle it. But we can check out if, it's kind of getting any gunk out. No noticeable difference so far, but obviously you're not going to see anything in 2 minutes of flipping. So I guess let's try out this bad boy here, which I don't think I've actually oiled in quite a while. Okay. And here you'll see the shakiness of my hands. That was way too much. here you'll see me figuring out these applicators. There we go. And you can kind of hear the noise of the Bali go from like... It gets a little higher. Oh, wow. Okay, so here you'll actually see, I guess, the biggest difference so far. This is actually exactly what happens with my serif. When I put a thinner viscosity oil, usually I will mix a bit of carbon honey and a bit of that 3-in-1 oil. And you just get the bounce completely returned to the balisong. So I actually can't wait to put my serif back together. Next video will hopefully be this review, and then this goes over to clone support. I feel like the ring is more prominent now, whereas with carbon honey, the clack is a bit more prominent. Wow, that's actually quite good stuff. I wasn't expecting it to... I was expecting it to be somewhat similar, but like it's really, really smooth. It could be also because it's mixing with carbon honey, but perhaps that's the golden combo. Maybe you have to waste all your money on oil. But also, I think the Superlube is 4 fluid ounces, or 120 ml, just under. Why America uses fluid ounces, I don't know. That is probably the most cursed unit that they've got there. Actually has brought kind of an entirely new life to this guy, so I might actually use that for the review. So yeah, I think I'm actually going to kind of keep using that. And then I guess we test in the Tsunami next. I'm really curious to see how this one comes out. You know, we'll just use a little bit here, and hopefully it will displace some of the oil that's already in there and kind of seep into all the nice little nooks and crannies. We'll kind of see how it is. Perhaps it's going to make the Tsunami much better, which I really want it to. But also, I don't know if you know, there is one issue that I have with my bushings in the DI blade, which is actually... like, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Or you can hear it a little bit. But basically, the bushings are slightly too small for the holes. Machine-wise bushings fit perfectly in here, basically. And so I really want to swap these over to machine-wise bushings, but I think I'll wait till the polished TI blade comes out before doing something like that. And let's find out. Oh, okay. Immediately I can tell you there's a difference. I think you'll be able to see and hear that. But immediately I get a bounce that I'm not going to say I've not had, but I've not been able to get since tuning this Bali. I'll have to see how this kind of goes a little more. But overall, I feel like the Bali is a little bit more responsive to input. And that's one thing I think that Carbon Honey Thick does. It slightly dulls your Bali's response to input, which isn't obviously fantastic. I mean, you can see the tune is fine. It's not amazing, but it's fine. You know, it's with barely any wiggle here. Ooh. That is quite interesting, actually. Now, I wasn't expecting this to be the change that happened. I'll have to keep flipping this, and you can see, yeah, now that it's starting to fully work in, it's kind of getting a little more dull. But perhaps if I fully end up displacing this with the Carbon Honey, it'll make a bigger difference. But on the close, it's quite bouncy. I'd say bouncier, but not as smooth as the original trainer blade. And that's one thing I've noticed. This blade is just a little squishier than the original trainer blade. I imagine that's just because the Zen pin nipple, like, hitting difference in size area. You know, it's not necessarily made for this. It's made as a replacement blade for the actual Tsunami, so. But very interesting. And then I guess we'll see how it works on the Gaboon as well. The Gaboon, which, by the way, can I just say, this is probably the best EDC knife out at the moment. It is lightweight. It is relatively affordable in the world of American-made EDC knives. It is Magna Cut for the blade steel, which is kind of the best blade steel around at the moment. Yeah, if you play that audio back, you should hear it go from like it just loses a bit of that low-end body. So, wow. Is it bouncier? Somewhat. Oh. Yeah, definitely. And I guess that kind of makes sense because the thicker thing will reduce the ounce of bounce that is there. How's the tolerances? No, they didn't take too much of a hit. But I think I do really like this increased bounce. That is something that's quite nice. I wasn't expecting that to be as significant of a difference. And yeah, like I said with the Sliff T, it is a more higher emphasis on the ring of the Bali versus the actual clacking sound. So the attack sound used to be much sharper with the Carbon Honey, and now I find the sound is a little softer. There's a little bit less, like kind of 8 kilohertz, a little less 13,000 as well. But overall, that ring, you know, it is much more prominent, which I actually really like. So overall, what's my verdict on Superlube? Needs to be fully examined for a little longer, but overall, I really like this stuff. Especially with what it's done to the Tsunami. Oh, it's made it actually a little bit more fun to flip. Yeah, and I'm hoping that this kind of settles in as well. But this thing I've found actually has always had struggles with oil. Perhaps it's my tune. It does need new washers. Yeah, you can see that. It needs new washers. But I don't have any spare hardware for this guy that I'm not using. So there is that. But yeah, basically this thing is pretty bloody interesting. This stuff is really cool. Do I recommend Superlube? Yes, I do. Do I recommend it over Carbon Honey Thick? I'd need to try medium first. I think possibly Carbon Honey Medium might be the best oil that Carbon Honey does. Thick is really good for that sound, especially if you like handle bias where you can just shove all the weights into the end. But if you're like me, and I really do prioritize the tactile nature of a balisong, not necessarily above everything else, but I think the sound, but more the tactile feel than the sound is quite important for me. I really enjoy that feel in the hand. Sometimes I'll just sit at my computer, just have a balisong in my hand, just do ice picks because it is something, it's a nice feeling in the hand, you know, where it takes place. And it is something I wanted to really preserve. And so I was a bit concerned that this would make the bellies do something that I wasn't used to, I guess. And that's why I was so impressed with this, because this oil with this viscosity would basically be perfect. Although I really don't know what is in here. Like this stuff, like it looks like gel or something. I mean, dude, this stuff is weird. If you can get your hands on this stuff, go for it. But like, dude, this stuff it's great, but it's weird, man. And it's also, I think, only 10 mil, which is sad. And there is a good difference between 15 and 10 mil. But of course, anything made in the USA needs to be really exclaimed that it's made in the USA. Oh, these stickers applied by hand. I've never noticed that, and I've had this stuff for like a year now. So, overall, big W for this. I think I will probably be using these two in conjunction on my nicer Balis. This, for that graphene. The graphene does make a difference. When the Bali is dry, it is not as bad as a dry Bali. And overall, I'm quite happy with this. So, I cannot wait to put this into more of my Balis. And I say more of my Balis. Look at me already here with, what's this, 5 Balis or something like that. Well, then this is going, and this is going as well. So I've only brought really 3 of my own. But yeah. I think we'll wrap it up for the day today. We'll wrap up the video there today. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.